Imagine trying to dodge a $31.5 million shipping bill using a fabricated legal loophole, only to get completely busted by your own social media team. Well, in 2023, that's exactly what happened with Amazon. $31,560,000. That's a staggering number, right? And it's the exact amount Amazon explicitly agreed they owed an ocean carrier in liquidated damages right before they tried to retroactively pull the plug and pay absolutely nothing. And look, we aren't just speculating here. We're actually going to reverse engineer the literal receipts straight from Federal Maritime Commission docket number 2504. Let's expose exactly how a corporate giant weaponizes legal pretexts. Okay, so how did we get here? Let's look at the setup, locking in the fleet. Let's rewind to April 2022. If you remember, ocean freight space was incredibly tight, and Amazon desperately needed to secure massive capacity. So they signed a 2-year service contract with China United Lines, or CUL, running from May 2022 to April 2024. Crucially, this included strict minimum quantity commitments. Basically, Amazon promised to ship a massive, set volume of containers in exchange for locked-in, highly favorable base rates. And the immediate payoff was absolutely massive. Because they locked in those rates when standard market prices were sky high, Amazon saved an estimated $96 million during just the first year of the contract. Honestly, it was a huge win for their supply chain. But as you know, global logistics can be a roller coaster. Which brings us to the pivot. The market crashes. By early 2023, standard global shipping rates completely plummeted, and suddenly, Amazon wanted out of that expensive second year. Here's their exact motive. Under the contract, canceling for convenience, just wanting to walk away early, would cost Amazon over $31 million in shortfall penalties. But canceling for cause, meaning claiming the other party actually breached the contract, gives them a total free pass, zero financial commitments. So watch how this timeline plays out because it's wild. Step 1, on April 1st, 2023, Amazon officially terminated for convenience. Step 2, they literally reviewed the math and agreed to pay the $31.5 million invoice for falling short on their cargo volume. But then, step 3, exactly a month later, on June 7th, Amazon suddenly pulls a massive U-turn. They issue a second termination notice, but this time claiming a breach of contract for cause, trying to completely dodge that massive check. And that leads us straight to the trap snapping, the WeChat receipts. To justify this sudden $0 exit, Amazon alleged that CUL breached their non-disclosure agreement. They pointed right at Section 7 of their main transportation agreement, which, as you'd expect, prohibits the unauthorized sharing of confidential business information. Amazon's claim? They said the carrier broke this rule by publicly posting about their partnership on the Chinese social network WeChat. But there was one glaring, almost unbelievable problem with Amazon's master plan. The FMC filings prove that back in July 2022, Amazon's own social media team had already published those exact same partnership details in public WeChat posts. They even bragged about the partnership to the shipping trade press. It wasn't until August that CUL simply reposted Amazon's details, yet almost a year later, Amazon is sitting there claiming those old reposts were suddenly an NDA breach? The legal reality here is pretty stark, because Amazon's own PR team leaked the details first, talking about pricing, schedules, and explicitly naming CUL as a partner. The information had already lawfully entered the public domain. You literally cannot breach an NDA by sharing information that your partner already made public. It makes Amazon's retroactive legal claim completely absurd. And the federal complaint doesn't pull any punches either. It calls this maneuver exactly what it looks like: a pretextual means or device to avoid paying the agreed MQC shortfall liquidated damages. In everyday terms, it was a totally fabricated excuse designed from the ground up to erase a massive financial liability the second market conditions stopped working in Amazon's favor. Now, you might be thinking this was just a one-off mistake. Let's look at the systemic playbook. This WeChat trap wasn't an isolated incident. Parallel federal lawsuits expose a really clear corporate strategy. Look at GSC Logistics at the Port of Long Beach. Amazon broke a transloading contract when demand dropped and cited pretextual breaches for actions that the contract actually excused. We see the exact same thing with a supply partner named Gilimex. The pattern is crystal clear. Break a volume contract when the market shifts, and then just fabricate a breach to dodge those early withdrawal penalties. Amazon consistently uses its massive scale and legal weight to try and force suppliers into eating the costs of market fluctuations. But this specific case proves something really vital for all of us. A simple digital paper trail, like a timestamped social media post, can completely neutralize that raw monopoly bargaining power. Data visibility actually holds giants accountable to the contracts they sign. As global supply chains grow more complex and corporate leverage becomes even more concentrated, it leaves us asking a critical question. In an era where massive corporations seamlessly weaponize legal loopholes to break their promises, are digital receipts the only true leverage we have left against monopoly power?